Welcome back to Online Darts, everyone. We've got a very special one to kick off 2025. We're here at Matchroom HQ, PDC HQ, and we've got the Governor, Mr. Barry Hearn. Barry, thanks for your time. I know you're busy this time of year.
I think the amount of time you spend on Dartsfield, the least I could give you is a few moments of our crowded life.
Yeah, look, it's been incredible. When you look back at what's just taken part, how do you sum it all up, what we've just seen at Alexandra Palace?
I think for the last 10 or 15 years, each year I'm pinching myself, because personally I'm very happy to be involved in darts because I like it. I mean, it's not like a job when you're doing something you're passionate about. And I do really enjoy it, even down to the statistics of darts and looking at the new faces that are coming through. And of course, Luke Little has added as much to my life as he's added to the millions of darts fans around the world, because you want to watch sport played at its highest level, and this young man has been nothing short than illuminating. You know, he's made such a big change and also inspired the next generation in such a short time. I mean, we're talking about just over a year before the general public really had never even heard of Luke Littler. Now he's second in Sports Personality of the Year, the winner of the Young Personality of the Year, front pages on prestigious publications, interviews and messages from the great and the good of sport. I mean, it's an incredible story. But for me, the real attractiveness is the inspiration that carries forward to other kids that see there's no barriers. There's no barriers to entry in darts. Most sports have got enormous barriers to entries. There are opportunities there if you have the mindset and the skill set to take advantage of them that will change your life. So darts is a bit more than just a sport to me. It's actually a social change. And it's also inspirational for someone like myself that come from a very working class background to see opportunities available from kids like I was. I'm not that I was ever good enough to do anything, but they are out there. But they need a flag bearer, and they need an organisation that rises to the challenge. And what most people struggle probably to understand is how much more professional the PDC has. Never mind about the players, the tournaments, the ratings, the money. The actual company that runs darts has changed enormously over the 20 years that I've been involved. You know, when we started off with just a couple of blokes that like darts, and you know, I'm reasonable at my job, and we did well. But now it's a really efficient, creative management team that get the job done, and it's a huge job because there are a huge number of events, and yet still are we running it on 10 people full time? It's staggering to think you can do that much output, that many productions, that many staging of events on which shows you how good they are.
You touched on the changes there in 20 years. Has it even changed in a year? Because what Luke did getting to the final last year, now winning it, darts is now on the front pages of newspapers, and their dart players are being looked at as like Premier League footballers, where it's not the back pages. We've got entertainment columns looking for dirt, shall we say, or looking at this if someone goes to the football. So it even changed in a year so much.
It's incredible. Even if you take Bullseye, for example, comes back and Luke Littler goes on it, and suddenly there's another genre of the application of the sport. The last 15 months in my 20 odd years has been the most turnaround I've seen. You know, we come from the days of what people used to call it, PDC was Phil's Dart Club, wasn't it? Yeah. And Taylor was winning everything, and, you know, a lot of people saying, oh, what are you going to do when Phil retires? Is that going to be the end of darts? What we did during the Phil Taylor years was invest in the next generation, invest in different developmental tours and challenge tours and Q-Score. Huge amount of work trying to build, and it wasn't just here. You know, when you think the PDC invests in Australia, invests in New Zealand, invests across America, invests across Asia, Southeast Asia, you know, there are tournaments happening every day somewhere, which the PDC have given a helping hand to, both in management and money. Because without money, the world doesn't go round. So we've invested more in grassroots than anything else, really. But look, it pays off, and suddenly Luke Littler turns up and changes the game on its head. But also, and I keep saying this, there is, as you know, Phil, a tsunami of talent behind him.
Mental.
You know, mental. I mean, he goes and plays in Bahrain. Gerwyn Price, who hasn't had the best season in the world, but obviously still a world-class player, averages 116 against him. And Luke Littler gets dumped out of Bahrain, the defending champion, averaging 105. Welcome to the real world. And but every story, every page, every act is a narrative of sport that people like you and I will talk about in a pub, or, you know, we'll talk about at work. Did you see? And the widening of the audience is what Luke Littler's new force has brought. We've gone from sports pages to mainstream, you know, and that is a quantum leap in the way television companies value the product, media values the product, sponsors value the product, because we live in a world of the king has no clothes. If you keep telling people and you keep convincing them, you'll convince them that you're something. I've done it my whole life. I've always told everyone I'm the best. Whether I am or not, I have no idea. But it don't stop me saying it.
No, I get that.
And eventually, one or two of them are going to believe it. And then I'll get to be dangerous. And darts is the same. Darts has come out of an era, fascinating history, you know, from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, 90s. Everything was a different arena. And now we are, dare I say it, we're establishment.
Well, you touched on, obviously, there that, not confirmed yet, but it's been in the newspapers, the Sky deal is agreed for an awful...
It's not done, let me just...
No, I was just saying that it was reported in the Telegraph that the blueprint of it is done. Are we close to the biggest deal in darts history?
We're very close, we're within touching distance. Look, it's always nice when you can keep with a partner, a friend, a broadcaster, a sponsor for a long period of time. You do develop a relationship, and whilst, like in any relationship, there'll be ups and downs, the overriding factor is that you stay loyal to each other, and Sky have been very good for us. The question mark for Sky was, are you... Sometimes people get taken for granted, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know, whereas it might apply to husband and wife or business partners. And suddenly you realise the grass is not greener. And that's a similar situation for us. You know, we're courted by everyone because we're a success. But Sky were with us on day one. You know?
Yeah.
And they've always done well by it themselves, so it's been a relationship that's grown. And the one key word that you're always looking for is respect. You know, I don't want to hear stories about, darts players, you know, fat blokes that smoke and drink. You're going back 30 years for that. This is a modern, efficient, entertaining business that is doing extremely well, as they said in the House of Commons the other day, by entertaining millions of people. That's where we want to be. And Sky, I think now, have agreed. And there's a certain amount of arm wrestling goes on in these negotiations. I've done it for 50 years and I'm very happy with where we are now, and I think we're very close to agreeing a final deal.
Was Luke Littler coming along the best time for you and the worst time for Sky, in terms of when the deal was finishing, and what Luke did almost put it to another level?
From a monetary point of view, yes, but obviously from a product point of view, the ratings that Luke Littler has helped us to achieve, and I'm not taking away the credit from the other players who are all part of this success story. So whilst Luke Littler has been a breath of fresh air, he's transformed certain parts of the game, particularly with regard to TV ratings. We can't take away the fact that we are 128 players, special people on the PDC Tour. Every one of them has a role to play. Every one of them has an opportunity to change their life. That's up to them how good, how much sacrifice they're prepared to pay, how much work they're prepared to put in. But the benefit of where we are now has been surrounded by some amazing players over the generations or the couple of decades that I've been involved in. Luke is a new one that's made an enormous, possibly the biggest ever improvement in my reign as president. But I'm very conscious that you can't have an industry built around one person. So we are built around 128 main card players on the PDC Tour. I noticed last week on the Challenge Tour, something like 500 and God knows how many players.
Big numbers, yeah.
Huge numbers of players. And well done to the PDC for coping with all that involves in terms of administering and staging those type of events. Q School was a big success, more and more players, developmental tour, and the junior tour doubled in the last month their membership. I mean, this is signs that please me for the development of the sport. I'm getting a bit old now, but my legacy really I want to be that we've created a sustainable business where people change their lives and where we entertain a larger and larger global audience. And that's the next big thing, is to get stuck into this global audience, because I don't think we've even started cracking. Although, I hesitate to say, I think the players are going to be very happy players in the next month or so as we evaluate the scale of the Sky New Deal and we work out what we're going to do with the prize money, how we're going to spread it around the world, not just in the UK, but how every player will have the opportunity to change his lives. And it all comes down to money at the end of the day. You know, we're not artists, we don't paint beautiful pictures, we don't write books that are appreciated after we're dead. We're in the entertainment sport business, and by that definition we are totally unique, and we are grateful for the characters that play the game, because it's the narrative that they create, whether it's a Luke Littler or someone who's just got in from Q School. How exciting. That's what thrills me, you know. Let's go and see what you're made of. You know, I had an interesting time a few months ago where I achieved a lifetime dream. I played in the US Open pool. And of course, I'm shit. But I practiced hardish. And I won one leg. I got beat 9-1 to the world number 22. And I had the time of my life. That's the message to the players, is it's up to you. 50 years ago, I was a decent pool player, but I haven't played for 50 years. But I wanted to compete. And I know it's to have the opportunity to participate in sport. Better still to make it a living out of it where you get paid for that opportunity has got to be every kid's dream, and that's what the PDC is delivering.
A couple of bits off of what you said there, obviously teasing that £1 million. I'm guessing that's getting ever so close to happening for the winner of the World Championship.
It's always been my dream.
Can we see that next year?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. There's a pot, but what I'm saying is it's a sizable pot. Now, I'm not making myself out to be an angel or the PDC board. A lot of people would have kept a big chunk of that pot. For us, we're here to grow the game for our benefit and for everyone else's. We're a trading company. We're in business to make money. Don't ever forget that. I shall never lose that, because otherwise you don't create a sustainable business.
Yep.
I'm not interested in if it's going to be massive for 1 or 2 years. I'm laying the foundations for it to grow from its current new size. Our first job is to say, right, we've got a pot. Where does it go? Those are the discussions that are underway. But the size of the pot means that I think the players are looking for some very good news in the next month or two. It'll be done properly. It will be done sustainably. It will be done efficiently. It's not an emotional reaction. It's a business.
Yep.
The players have contributed. We have done a magnificent job. Both of us will have a piece of bread in our mouth at the end of this deal. As Rockefeller once said, it's the secret of successful relationships. And that's what we're going to do.
That's the top end. The bottom end of
that's the most important.
The money. How do you get 128 professional players that don't need
to work
and another job? Because at the moment, I was looking at it, I think roughly give or take 50%-ish still work in some capacity, whether that's full-time or part-time. So how do you then get this a completely professional
tour? It all comes down to money. It comes down to the pot. What you mustn't do is you mustn't reward mediocrity. On another sport I'm interested in, I once had a player say to me, it's easy to keep everybody happy. Just divide the total prize money by the number of people on the tour and give us all the same. Right? Now, the fact that a sportsman can suggest that shows you we're on a different planet. So what you have to do is you have to be really sensible about it. Firstly, you have to make sure the doors are open. Ability can be the only criteria. Yes, you want people to be professional, but needs must. First obligation to anyone in this world is feed your family. House your family, Look after your family. That's your first responsibility. We're going to give you an opportunity to change your life. You're going to have to be good. Because if I make it easy, too easy, I'm getting the wrong type of people in. And there's a huge demand for participation. So you restrict the participation because you have to come up with a product that is viewable on TV, played by entertaining people in a party atmosphere. Some people can't do that. Some people want to carry on working. They don't want to commit their life. Inevitably, that means their game won't go up that notch. Because we are a professional sport. I laughed with Mickey Mansell the other day. I walked into the World Championships and I thought I've been waiting to see you. So I just said, oi, let me just tell you something. And of course he was a bit, what's going on here? I said, the PDC stands for the Professional Darts Corporation. It does not stand for Part-Time Darts Corporation. So the players have to, and it's difficult. You've got families, you've got kids, you've got existing jobs, you've got security. Do you roll those dice? Which is why I'm predicting over the next 5 years, we're going to see predominantly a much younger field, because youngsters, they take more risks. As you get older, you get, even in business, I don't take the risks I used to take. My son takes big risks. I'm like, Jesus, what are you doing? I like sustainability, and I like slow growth that is capable of growing forever. So, I'm really keen on the top 64. The 128 is, here's your chance. I'm not going to make it easy, because if I make it easy, the entertainment factor of you playing below the best you can play will affect my TV ratings, my ticket sales. We'll lose that momentum of the narrative of a Jean Van Veen coming along, a Wessel Niemark coming along. These, and Decker, these guys are the future. But there's going to be dozens and dozens of others coming for it. As the prize money grows, the list of sustainable careers goes deeper. And ultimately, I suppose I'm pretty confident now the top 64, for example, are all earning enough, not fortunes at the bottom end of that, but earning enough to survive on tour.
Yep.
Survival, I need to be deeper. So the aim now is, let's take that 64. When the new contract comes out, I'd like to think that 96 of them are sustainable.
Yep.
That leaves 32 And the players have got it in their own hands to change their lives and show me that they're good enough. But if they're not good enough, by the same token, I expect them to drift away and be replaced by the new breed. And that's probably what will happen. But opportunity is the most important. There's going to be extra Pro Tour events next year. There might be extra European Tour events. There's going to be more money. There's going to be a lot more overseas. My biggest problem now in darts is running out of days of the year. Because people, you know, it's another natural problem. You build a big star up, and then you need him to be, he's got to have a slight ambassador mode about him. He's got to understand he has a part to play in the next level of developments. Everybody in golf owes a huge debt to Tiger Woods. In 5 years' time, I might say to you, everyone in darts owes a huge debt to Luke Littler. Because there was a quantum change when the arrival of Woods came on the scene, and it would appear, and certainly with the Sky deal going well and other deals out there, it appears that Littler is opening the door to other areas in the world. But how many events does he want to play? I could do with him every day, but that would be overkill. So there's a balancing act. The player's got to have a life as well, especially a young man, you know, who hasn't got family responsibilities. The guys with families have got to be able to be confident in their own ability that they can make enough money on the circuit with the expanded prize money to give them a good life. And then it's up to them. You know, if you're in business or you're in sport, how much you put into it yourself will be so relevant when you look at the rewards you take out of it.
Before the World Championships, you dropped the bomb, which I'm sure the team upstairs were happy about, that the world is going to go to 128. You dropped it a little bit early, I'm guessing, from the sport, their plans. On that, obviously, it's great. Have you worked out where those extra places are coming from yet?
Not yet. I mean, it was just a statement of the game is growing. In my business, I have to constantly come up with things that sometimes some of my other people go, well, have we agreed that, Mr. President? But I have to get the column inches. I have to get the awareness, because so much in sport is perception. You know, people perceive the level you are at.
Yeah.
Certainly amongst the different demographics in the country, certain people would turn their nose up at darts 10 years, 20 years, 20, 30 years ago. We have to change that perception. We look at a sport like golf, which doesn't get anywhere near our numbers, our awareness, but their prize money is bigger than ours. Why? Because of perception.
Yep.
So we're coming into, and people like Luke as well, we keep talking about, he changes the perception, widens the audience. That's how you grow a company, and that's how you grow a sport. But moving on to saying, where are my weaknesses? I have two big weaknesses in darts. One, I have players. We've been successful going around the world. We've spent a lot of money expanding events and all over the world. Where do they go? Where does the new champions go? They want to play in the World Championships. So the vast majority of those extra spots will be for overseas players. You know, we've got a strong British base. They don't have to travel. Bear in mind that I can't expect youngsters in wherever to come over to England and play developmental tours or go to Europe. You know, I'm filling the gap at the moment, but the gap's widening. So I need to create a bigger field to give more opportunity. And every time someone comes from a different country, don't forget, it gives me the opportunity to go to the TV companies in that country, to go to sponsors in that country, to stage events in that country, which builds our business bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's in everyone's interest. The other side of it is, when you look at it, the other problem I have is going to be ticket sales. You know, the number of people that we are disappointing is humongous. And that brings me to say, I've got to see whether my venues are fit for purpose, whether I'm maximising my income. I want the players to maximise their averages. because they know if they do, that gives them more chance of being successful. I want to maximise my income because it gives me more opportunity to increase the prize money and to make more money myself. Happy days. But you can't go on disappointing people. I've had some letters recently. 5 years I've tried to get a ticket. I can't afford, darts can't afford to disappoint people for that period of time. So conservatively, we've stayed where we are, the Ali Pali we love, but we're getting to the stage of we need to create bigger audiences. One way of doing it is by adding days to the event. That gives me another 25,000 tickets to sell. It's not enough. We have about 90,000 at the moment to sell. We think we could have sold 350,000 tickets this year. So forget the revenue, it's the disappointment. Because one day someone goes, I'm not going to bother to try and get a darts ticket. And they move away from the game. People are very fickle like that. So we've got to be aware of that. We've got to be heavier, clamp down on these unofficial sites. Take those tickets off the site straight away. Plague the government to enforce their own rules. Because their rules are, if you're advertising a ticket on an independent site, you're supposed to put the seat number. The moment we see a seat number, we cancel the ticket. So what do? They say, we've got 2 tickets for sale in the first 6 rows. We can't cancel anything, but that's illegal. So we need other people to come to, because it's a problem. If it takes it away from a real darts fan, I'm against it. And therefore I'm against all these sites. Good luck. They're making money. I know it's their business, but they're not making it out of mine. So we've got to look at that, and that brings in the consideration of other venues or the move. And it's something that we won't rush into. It won't be next year. It may not be the year after, but the way the game's growing, I'm going to have to answer these questions. I'm not going to go to Saudi Arabia for a big site fee and lose the atmosphere of the Alexandra Palace, that's for sure. But what I am doing is saying to Ali Pali, look at next door, the fans village, get it fit for purpose. If I can get 7,000 people a session in there instead of 3.5, that's another 90,000 people that I can satisfy without potentially losing their support. And I've got to think like that. If that's not possible, I will look at other venues. Because if we want to see prize money continually increase, we've got to continually increase our revenue. Our revenue is Sky TV, overseas, sponsorship, ticket money. There's lots of other things as well, but they're the 4 big ones. The Sky deal is done, virtually, signed, hopefully in the next few weeks. I don't see any problems with that. Sponsorship, delighted with Paddy Power this year, what they did. I thought they did a magnificent job, and we're talking to them as well, where you've got to make your mind up as well.
They've got one more, haven't they?
Yeah. Overseas income, but the more countries follow darts, the bigger the overseas income, and ticket sales. So those are the 4 elements, key elements I'm working with, because I'm looking already at, once we announce the uplift in prize money for this year, where do we go? Where's the next step? Because I'm never satisfied. I'm constantly want to grow. I constantly want to beat. I'm playing a game now. I'm too old to worry about the money for me. I don't care anymore, but I care about winning. Just as a player cares about that dough. Mine, win or lose is a set of accounts. Win or lose is putting the prize money up to levels that no one ever anticipate, putting other sports to shame, making us credible, changing the perception of darts, which is changing.
Just picking up what you said there, obviously doing some research before I come here, like I always do. The last deal that you signed with Ali Pali that was put on record, this year's World Championship was the last one on that deal. Has there been?
Yeah, we're talking.
Has there been an extension signed yet?
No, we are talking to them, and our favoured way is to move forward with Ali Pali as it is for at least 1 year.
Yeah.
And to look a bit further, because we like the venue, we like the area, and we like the relationship. But it has to tick 4 boxes. There's 3 of them. The other one is how much cash does it bring in? And I'm sorry to be so basic and brutal, but that's how the world goes round. And it should be good news for the players to know that we're taking that attitude. Some of the players, oh, you can't leave Ali Pali. That's like saying there's no more progress left in the sport. That's not going to happen on my watch or on the watch of the management that we've created here, like Matt Porter and his team, who are incentivised to make sure that this game continues to grow. The day you don't grow is the day you go backwards.
Have you officially looked at any other venues?
Yes, lots of venues. Lots of venues all over the place, but all in England.
Yeah.
But there's lots of venues. Who doesn't want the darts at their venue? Are you sure?
Oh, you'd have a list as long as you're...
This every venue in the country has been on. Every venue. Any chance of getting, the O2. Well, you've got 14,000 people there for the Premier League. There's your tickets, 14,000 a session. I'm still a little bit conservative about that. A couple of years down the road, 3, 4, who knows? I'm never going to say no to anything. I've said no to Saudi simply because they don't have alcohol in Saudi.
Yeah.
And while I'm not a heavy drinker and I don't encourage people to be a heavy drinker, there's no doubt that a party atmosphere without alcohol is a bit like a country without tourism. And they will change, and we will do a darts event there. But we're light years away from thinking we're going to take anything major. That. But if you were in a position where you weren't so bothered about the number of tickets you sell, it's very attractive, because they do have very deep pockets for what they want. We're self-sustainable because of the fans, their support, and the fact that it is this party where the bar does very good business. And that's why these various venues, it's not a bad business if you're a venue, is it?
No, 100%.
And you're buying beer. I don't know how much a pint of beer wholesale is, but it's somewhere around 75p.
And they're knocking out.
And they're getting what?
7, 8 quid a pint.
8. Go some places it's 10, 12. But people don't mind as long as the product they're watching is something that excites them and gives them a reward for their money.
This year's Premier League, was this the hardest board meeting that you've had to pick this year's?
It wasn't. No, it wasn't really. It wasn't really, but at the same time it was, if you follow me. The first 4
pick themselves to the top 4 in the world.
So they're in. It was tough after that because there was a lot of marginal calls, and there was a lot of things about, but does someone else need a chance? Does who's out there? In the end, I think they picked themselves just about, but there was a few hard ones in there. There's no question. Dave Chisnell, great player. What was he, 6 in the world?
6 in the world, but can't win on TV at the moment.
I know. But having said that, Dave's been a great servant of the PDC, and I hope we've done well by him. Chris Dobie, you say, well, semi-final World Championships, reasonable season, give him a crack. Nathan Aspinall hasn't had the greatest season, really, but he's had some reason for that. He seems to be coming through it. He's a very popular lad. Gerwyn Price, not the greatest season either, but he's got that little bit about him. He's a showman. You're trying to make a cake with different ingredients. So who did I feel sorry for was Chisnell, without doubt, and his time will come again. Not being funny, if he has a similar type of season and ends up number 6, he'll probably get in next year.
Yep.
Because you can't ignore talent. Damon Heta. Really close, really close. Just didn't quite get there because Bunting deserved it. I think he's had a good season. He's shown, he's gone and won the Bahrain Open for the first time. I think he's done well. Peter Wright, Peter's had a poor season by his standards. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if he doesn't bounce back next year, because sometimes these top players need a kick up the bum. Because if they think they're automatic, sometimes it just goes down. You need to have that fear, that hunger, that drives you. Gerwin, I think, was at one stage, you know, oh, is it another, you know. I think he was quoted once during the Premier League, oh, I hate this.
Yeah, he said he hated it.
Oh, I don't want to play in this. Now, ask him now, he's over the moon to be in, he's going to rip them off, and he's, you know, that's the type of attitude that comes across to the media and that comes across to the fans, that you know it matters. They all want to win the Premier League. It's tough, you know. So who have we left out from that? We've got Van Gerwen, obviously Littler and Humphries. And
Rob Cross is top four.
Top four. So then you add in Bunting and Doby,
yeah,
2 debutants.
Or they returned them, they played it before, but after,
before. They're making a return in it.
Aspinall and Price.
Aspinall and Price.
That's right.
I mean, it's very difficult to vote against any of them case by case, but it wasn't unanimous.
Off the back of that, the first time I've heard players talk out and speak out in a long time. For the last few years, it's been all nice and nice, but the decision that obviously you guys made is split opinion. And I was saying, when you hear players calling it scandalous and things like that, speaking out doesn't happen very often. What was your thoughts when you see players speaking out against decisions?
You get 2 thoughts. One is they realise, as you already knew, that this is a massive opportunity. Not just for big prize money, for changing your image, for getting yourself across. Bunting in particular has done a lot of work on his social media. He's become a bit more of a character. He's getting a bigger following. Yeah. And he's paid dividends. He didn't get lazy. Does anyone get lazy? When you come from, listen, I'm talking about me myself. When you come from nothing and suddenly you get a load of money, you can go 2 ways. You can say, I'll settle for that, which means you're going to go backwards. Or this is another step up the ladder which has no top, because I'm just going to keep going until it gets you just want to be as big and as successful as you possibly can. And I want players around me. And I'm pleased it hurts some players, because my suggestion to them is, go on then, make me look silly this season. I dare you. But by the way, if you do, you'll be in next year.
Yeah.
You know? So that's what's laid out. But I'm also pleased that they've got the power, the strength to be able to say it. Not frightened of anything, they're their own man. If they feel it's upsetting, bloody, what do you think, I keep quiet with things that upset me? No, and I expect them to do the same. Go and give us some stick. But it's a bit like Mickey Mansell when I met him in Hearn. We had a laugh about it. We had a laugh. I said, listen, I'm only joking. He went, I didn't really mean it like I said. You don't have to make any excuses. But what you did was, what did you really do? You created some dialogue. You created some narrative. You gave me a bit more publicity. I'm always going to be grateful for that. Do I want 128 nameless sheep walking around just saying bar and the same word? I don't. I want individuals. I want characters. And some of them are going to say things. You know, I've got it in snooker with Ronnie O'Sullivan, for example. Do I want to get rid of Ronnie O'Sullivan? Hell no. I want to keep him for as long as possible, because he's gold dust. And these guys, having their own opinion, are gold dust. But as long as I understand, this is a meritocracy. There'll always be disagreements on borderline cases. So take yourself out of the borderline. Win events. And then you haven't got to worry.
Some of the rule changes that have come in this year have provoked a lot of debate amongst fans, especially the Euro Tour switch, where now the world ranking is the seeds and the Pro Tour becomes the unseeded players. A lot's been thrown at it that it's becoming elitist, a bit like snooker was in the 80s, when, because of these changes, the top 16 is almost becoming a closed shop.
I agree with that, and I don't like it. But the answer is to create more events, to create bigger prize funds, so you give more opportunity. And the challenge is there. Number one, the top 16 in the world have earned the right over a 2-year period to say, that's my official ranking. The increased prize money and the extra opportunities have opened the door to the people that say, I want to be there. So the people I want involved say, I like household names. They're a lot easier to promote. Some get on the scene quicker than others. but they get there in the end if they keep winning. So I'm laying down a challenge to people outside the top 16 and say, if you're not good enough, now you've got enough opportunity everywhere with all this new prize money, new events, etc. It's your own fault. You got to win. So don't tell me you don't deserve anything in life. You earn things in life. They've got the opportunity, now they've got to take it. If they don't take it, it means they weren't good enough. There's no handicap system when you play. There's two men on the hockey. Best player wins. End of story. If you're not the best player, don't come to me crying, because I just say the same thing to everybody. You best go back to work, son. Go back to graft. Give it. Have you sacrificed enough? I look at myself in the mirror every day and say, am I giving enough every day? I'm 76. I want to win every single argument, and I'm going to do whatever I can to win. I expect the same thing from the players. There are obstacles because the obstacles have been created by people that have earned the right over an extended period of time to say, that's where I'm ranked. And I think they should be respected for that. But the challenge is, are they going to stay there? If they, I mean, look, Michael Smith where was he in the world?
He went to the World Championship, world number 2, finished at world 17, I think.
Exactly. So, Michael, you didn't get in the Premier League. That's a wake-up call. I know you're a good lad and you're not happy with your form. You've got to work on it because you're too good to be number 17, I think. But numbers don't lie. If you get beat, you go down. And people, because of the increased prize money now, which will be available, they can jump up there a lot quicker. But you've still got to pay your price. No one deserves it. Luke Littler's a great example. I keep talking about Littler, but there's a bloke came in, he was 128 in the world or whatever, or something, joined 128 on day one. Where is he now? He's number 2 in a year. He's good, isn't he?
It's not bad.
And he's done all right, hasn't he? And he's paid a price, and also he's got a God-given ability.
On the ranking system, this comes up a lot as well, the 2-year system. Will that ever be replaced? Because like you say, the sport is ever changing, the evolution
you can never say nothing
is there, because the argument is, should something that you've done 18, 20 months ago
still be relevant
in the current day, the way the players have improved, like you say, increased prize money coming, should that be looked at?
The danger is, I think we do look at it. We look at it all the time. We've looked at point systems. We've looked at depreciating the previous year of the 2-year.
Yep.
The issue is simplicity is the key to success in business. The general public understand for every pound you win, effectively that's a point. So. Because a lot of people argue, oh, don't make the prize money in the World Championship. I've had people say to me, players, don't make that too big. So why? Well, because it puts, you have one run in the World Championships. Should that carry the same points because of the extra money? So yes, of course, because it's our most important event. The general public rule it, common sense. They want something simple, they can understand. This bloke's won 100 grand, it's gone on his prize money, he's now gone ranked such and such. They also want the players that they recognise. So suddenly you find someone, I have a nightmare that I discover a young player from probably Asia who has a 9-darter every throw. Completely fucks the game. Right? So you're never going to get it perfect. You're always going, but it's good that we talk about it because you constantly evaluate. At the moment, the mood is this game is not broken, so there's nothing to fix. But that doesn't mean to say you don't consider things constantly, which we do. The idea of simplicity, that's something that the man in the street can understand. When I took over snooker, we had the worst system of points. No one knew what the hell was going on. Even the players that were playing didn't know. But it made some boffin or some nerd happy because it was sensible. There was a mathematical equation.
Yeah.
But sport's not like that. I also need household names. I don't want to lose my household names. If he's won the World Championships and you want me to delete his, I still need him. If he's done well in tournaments, and if he's in the top 16, he's done reasonably well. And if I'm going to lose him off my rankings, I want him to be replaced by someone who's going to add more.
Yeah.
Obviously, better standard of play. Also, personality. The way that people project themselves, the way that people can identify them. The strength of darts still is that they're very ordinary people. Doesn't matter how much money they earn. If you look at them all, they could be your next door neighbour.
Yeah.
And that affinity is driven in today's social world, where we're living in a woke language world, which is a liberalisation for a very small number of people.
Yeah.
Where the vast majority go, what's going on? You know, I don't understand. They're my customer. So I'm not going to make it complicated. For every £1 you win, goes on your prize money. 2 years is not a long time. You get a 2-year card when you turn pro. Your job, if you're going to be good enough, is within that 2 years, you better be in the top 64.
The amateur game, because we've touched on this a lot as well. I remember when you tried to buy the BDO back in the day, and foolishly they said no.
No, I'm very happy.
Oh, you are now, yeah. But the state of the amateur game now is arguably the best it has ever been.
Yeah.
Right now, when you see the WDF have now hosted a succession of successful tournaments, the ADC has revolutionised local darts. Now I know that you're always looking and evolving. Will you try and work with some of these organisations?
We do work with them.
Again,
we do work with all of them, because what they're doing for us is training our next superstars. They're an integral part of darts. This is what I kept saying to the BDO. The PDC needs amateur bodies to be successful. They're not going to rival. Our product is unrivaled.
Agreed.
So I want more and more. If I want more and more people in darts, I want more and more people into amateur sport.
Yeah.
So I welcome it. We help amateur bodies all around the world financially to an increasing extent, because we know they need some funding, and we help them where we can. There's no need to change anything. I think that they're doing a decent job, and of the 30 or 29 players or whatever it was that came through Q School this year, how many of them come from a background of involvement in WDF? The majority.
Yeah, WDF and Motor Super Series and the ADC, the way they've all...
Terrific. But any activity for darts is good for the PDC. It's not. It doesn't give us competition that we worry about too much exposure, because we are the finished deal when it comes to the product, and it gives us a whole wealth of talent that's coming in, and good news for them is we've gone to 128. So where do we get the extra spots from? And you look at the whole world and see who needs it, who can justify it. But we need a strong amateur. They are our training ground, those amateur events. And we'd be lost without them. Not completely lost without them, that's not true. Wouldn't be lost without them, but they're a useful ally.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And I don't think we tread on their toes, or vice versa. Their product is never going to be seen to be a challenge to the PDC. But we won't take that as complacency. We still try and push on the prize money and all that. But where did the players come from? The Junior Darts Corporation's doing a fantastic job. Yep. We've just signed a deal in Bahrain, where it's going into the schools curriculum. And that's how I started with snooker. When I got snooker on the Chinese schools curriculum, 20 years later, 4 of the top 16 are Chinese.
Yeah. The Grand Slam comes up a lot. We see the Masters has been rebranded this year, which, by the way, I absolutely love going back to the original Masters format. But the Grand Slam every year takes a lot of stick now, because it was always the cross-code tournament, and obviously we know that doesn't. But it seems to have lost its identity. It's got.
I'm not sure I agree with you, but I think the format may need looking at. And something we're in discussion with, how do we keep it? You've always got to keep events fresh.
I agree, John.
If you just say, no, that's the worst thing you can say in business or in sport is, when asked the question, why do you do it like that? If the answer comes back, because we always do it like that, they're in trouble. So you've got to constantly reevaluate. And I know we're looking at the Grand Slam now and saying, okay, how do we put a bit more oomph in it? How do we make it available to more players from different areas or whatever? But again, I'm sure the players and you we evaluate everything.
Of course.
Because especially me and Porter, we're the nerds at darts.
Yeah.
You know, we love the game, but we're always looking to improve, and that's never going to change.
Well, on the one that comes, again, going back to the Grand Slam, the group stage people loves, but the bugbear, and the players have said this as well, that when you come out of your group, why aren't they flipped? Because 9 times out of 10, you're playing someone that you played in your group in the quarter-final. That why isn't it like other sports where you can't play someone that you played in your group?
Well, it only applies to one person, obviously, at the current stage. But yes, it's another.
That's one, and the players say it as well, that they don't want to play someone they played in their.
I don't think we want to preempt what discussions are going on.
Right, okay.
But there'll be some changes that you'll probably like, but time will tell.
Before I let you go, 2025. What's your one wish? If we come to do this in a year's time, one thing that you want and needs to happen for the sport?
Well, one, I'd like to be alive at the end of 25. That'd be a big plus. What do we need? We need to break into America big time. That's my next big goal.
We're getting there.
No, we're not getting there because we've got one event in America.
So, but that event has got better and better. And Madison Square Garden on the Saturday last year was sensational.
Like everything, I've had it in sports like pool where the Moscone Cup was getting bigger and bigger and bigger in Moscone, but there was nothing. You need to have a calendar. You need to have activity, because you'll never attract youngsters if they get one chance a year.
Yeah, of course.
So what we need in America is to expand. Is it the CDC?
The CDC tour, yeah.
Expand the CDC tour to give us more grassroots activity. We encourage other promoters to go out and do events themselves under the WDF auspices, because it's all about playing darts. And we need a proper schedule of professional events with big prize money in the States. We're getting there. We've got plans, and I think it will start in 25, but probably 26 will be the bigger one, where you can actually create different tournaments and tours within different continents. So I think Australia, New Zealand, that sort of area. I think Southeast Asia is another block we'll be investing highly in. America, North America and Canada, USA and Canada, definitely. We need to get people sharing our philosophy of growing, how to grow and how to educate. We've seen it in New York, once they sample what we can produce, you're over the line. Because they go home and they talk about it. And this year we'll sell out Madison Square Gardens completely, obviously. I'm waiting for when I can go into the big arena rather than the theatre. That'll be something, and I'll have a go at that in the next year or two, just to see, you know. I mean, all right, the old 16,000 is not, you know, it's the same size as the O2. Oh, we can block it out. Can we get 8 or 9 or 10? But also, what about Boston? What about Atlantic City? What about going back to Vegas? Well, Boston carries Philadelphia, really. We've got to look at
Canada,
Toronto. The trouble is that bloody diary. I mean, I'm a Christian, but why he only ever gave us 365 days a year, I'll never know.
I'm with you. Barry, it's an absolute pleasure, and thank you very much for your time.
Phil. Lovely, good to talk, mate.